All right, so welcome to the I Eat Air Miles for Breakfast podcast, the place where we will learn how to travel the world almost for free without ruining your credit score. I'm Pascal, your host, and today I have with me Diego Corzo, a very good friend of mine who works at GM as a SharePoint developer for over the last few years. Diego's also my co-founder here at I Eat Air Miles for Breakfast, and today he's going to help me answer some of the questions that we've been getting from our email subscribers. So, Diego, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time all the way from Germany right now to do this.
Yeah, no worries. So I kind of just wanted to hop in. So just so our listeners have some background as to why I'm particularly interviewing you as for our first one, and what makes you a great person to ask these questions to is how long have you been travel hacking? Where have you been? What credit cards have you flipped? All that fun stuff.
Awesome. So I've been travel hacking since April of last year, 2013. I got my card. I got a Chase Sapphire card, and that was the first card that I got. And the point with that one, you have to spend $2,000 or $3,000, and in a matter of 3 months, and then you get 40,000 points to apply for travel. I was 22 when I started travel hacking, and so far I've flown a few times. I flipped 3 cards so far, and today I actually got my new card from Southwest Airlines, so it's pretty cool. Haven't even opened it yet, used it. So I flew to Chicago. That was my first one for an event that I go every year at Succeed Faster. And then the second time I ran a marathon in Iowa. So I love traveling. So I decided that why not, if I love traveling, why not do it for free, or not for free, but at least at a minimum cost. And for most of the flights, I've been paying for taxes, and sometimes taxes can range between $10 or $80. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing so far.
Sweet, cool. Let's jump into the kind of like juicy, valuable information. So before you started travel hacking, what were your concerns, the objections you had to starting, and yeah, so let's start with that.
Yeah, so a few of my concerns at the beginning was how much time I had to be able to track all of my points, and also if I was going to be able to reach the minimum expenditures for each card. Because the idea is that once you get a card, you have a specific amount of time in order for you to get those points as the award. So, but after that, it's pretty nice because each dollar, I have this cat right here. Each dollar that you spend, whether it's while you go eating or while just for anything, adds a point to your card. And then, so I didn't know if I was gonna if I was gonna spend um, as much in that period of time. And I believe that was my main concern, since I tried to not spend that much money. So, but I was able to do it just because of other hacks that I tried to do as well. There's a possibility for you to add an extra person on the card. So what I did
So
is,
let's pop into that later. Let
uh-huh,
me let me jump into. So basically, your concern was like you're out of college and you just your intent was not to spend a lot of money more than you do
exactly.
now, and so your concern was, am I going to be able to reach the minimum expenditures that is required? Because it's something like $2,000 or $3,000 in 3 months. So
Exactly.
yes.
So for me, it was a little bit scary, but I was able to do it, um, and it wasn't bad. You just have to make what I did. I just made sure that I for everything, for all of my expenses, gas, food, groceries, that I use my card. And I guess the other concern that I had was if I was going to go in debt, because it's very easy. Like once you have some credit, you have, like, for example, for my Chase card, I had $5,000 worth of credit. So coming out of college, when I didn't have much to spend in college, I come out and I have 5,000 that I can spend. So I just had to make sure that I paid it off every month, so that I didn't include any other debt, because the interest rate would be 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you are checking every month to pay it off, it should be fine.
Cool. So what do you think changed your mind about, like, so you had these concerns.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide, okay, fuck it, I'm going to try this travel hacking thing?
Well, it was you, actually. Just seeing how you were doing this, because I think that you started this while you were in college with your American Express. And actually, since we travel all over Florida, driving and going to salsa dancing all the time, you are a great example of how you took advantage of it, because you put all of my expenses in your card, and then I paid you back cash. So just and then you actually flew to different places before that, going around the world to Germany for the World Cup, actually, a few years ago, and all of this. So you were a great example, and that's what got me started.
Sweet. Cool. So, the next kind of question I kind of wanted to jump into was how much maintenance and effort goes into like managing your credit cards and, researching and basically everything that you do in order to do this. How much time does that take?
Yeah, so basically, in the beginning, if you really want to understand how everything works, it took me probably about an hour to half an hour, like half an hour to an hour, to understand what the Stars Alliance was, which I got a spreadsheet from you, actually. Then that told me what airlines would go to each part, so that I can better use, whether it be for American Airlines, U.S. Airways, AirTran, or Southwest, or all the other ones. And then tracking my miles, I just log in every month, really, to all of my accounts. So it probably takes 10 minutes after you get an understanding. It's not much.
Interesting. So you actually go in and check every month? I kind of just I only check my spreadsheets or my accounts when I actually want to go traveling somewhere. You actually check them more often?
Yes, I do, because I haven't set up an automatic payment.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually, just as a thing to myself, to make sure that I'm doing everything okay. I actually check and make sure and pay every single month, and that's when I actually see the points. So it keeps that in mind. Now, I know there's an application called Award Wallet, which I haven't used, but I read a lot upon it. And it's basically a website. It's a free application where you submit all of your credit cards, and they track your points. And then what happens is it basically puts everything into a one application where you can see how many points you have to Chase, how many points you have. I have right now another card on American Airlines, and also another one on Sky Miles too. And my last trip, actually, that I used my Sky Miles for was for going to a wedding in Pennsylvania. Well, the wedding was in Ohio, but the trip cost me $10, I believe. And I got the American Airlines Sky Miles card in April of this year. So right now we are in July, so it took me about 2 months to reach the points, and I was able to travel. So what I would recommend, or what helped me, is like if I have specific plans for the year, I get a few cards, or I get a card that for the next 2 months I'm going to use. And from there, once I finish using those cards, then I move on to my next one. There might be other strategies. Some people may have 2 or 3 at a time. I don't know how many you have.
I have like 5 at a time, but
You have 5 at a time.
yeah.
Yeah. So right now I have 3, but it's nice. It's really nice. And I know with Chase Sapphire, which actually helps into adding more to your points, I think that's one of the best cards. If you go out to eat, it counts as double the points. And there are other credit cards that if you purchase flights while you're using your card through the American Airlines application, then it counts as double the points.
So kind of tagging off of that, someone mentioned in one of their questions to us, how much money do you have to spend outside of paying for all your travel to get travel hacking to be practical? Like, how much money do you have to spend?
I mean, I've kept exactly my same expenditures. I really don't spend any more, other than making sure that I reach that limit. Something that becomes easier and that I just started doing recently is through Amazon payments, I've set it up where I'm paying my rent now through my credit card, and then I have to make sure that I just pay it off my credit card on time with my bank account. So if you think about it, right now I'm paying $500, around $500 for rent. So that automatically gives me 500 points. So let's say you had 3 months to fill out $2,000 or whatever, then that makes it easier.
So within 3 months, you already have $1,500 that you didn't have to worry about. And then maybe the last $500 you throw on groceries or something like that.
Exactly. And I mean, in 2 months, who doesn't spend $500, right? Another thing that I did, that I've done a couple of times actually, is when I go out with a friend or two out to eat or to the bar, I will pay for the food or the drinks like a round or 2 rounds, and then they pay me back afterwards. And it makes it easy. Like one time, I actually remember this was 3 weeks ago. I told them about what I'm doing because they were like, Diego, you travel every other week. Oh, and that's something that I can get into. I've been traveling now every other week since starting June. I've been traveling every other week. So last week I was in Pittsburgh. This weekend I'm here in Austin, and then last weekend I was in Austin, and then this weekend I'm in Orlando. So I told them that, and we went out to a bar, and they actually paid me $20, and they each had a round of drinks. So I put 60 points on my Chase, and I got $40 into my pocket of cash. So, but now you just have to think that, okay, that money goes towards paying your credit card, right? It shouldn't go into like you just spending it somewhere else. So you just have to be smart that way. Don't go happy crazy with all the extra cash you have in your pocket, because then it'll be a problem.
Are there any other ways that you try and achieve the spending, or did we cover most of them?
So one way that I've actually done it that worked out pretty nice was I added my mom or my dad as an extra person on a card. So what happens is they get a card as well with their name on it. So I'm in Austin and they're in Florida. So I send it to them, and then whenever they have expenses like going out to groceries or when they will go out and eat, I tell my mom, here you go. First purchase is a gift. Don't get too crazy. Then I pay that, and then my mom can spend it somewhere else, and then we just worked as a team, and they help me out, and it helps me get to the points faster. And then after that, I tell them to give me my card back so that they don't get tempted later and go swipe crazy. So yeah, and actually, what's pretty cool is that. So I'm going to my next card after I use my Southwest. I'm gonna get U.S. Airways, and with that one, and it worked out with the American Airlines too. If I add a person after they make the first purchase, you get an extra 10,000 points, I believe. So that gives extra money.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just so, because we're throwing out these point numbers, how much have you spent in terms of points to fly somewhere? So, like, does it cost you 10,000 points to fly to Pittsburgh? Does it cost you,
Hmm.
yeah, like, what is the range for you?
So for me, it depends on the flight, where I'm going, who I'm using. Because I know with the Sky Miles, that's actually a little bit more expensive. So I know for you, Pascal, it took you like 15,000 or 20,000 to fly to Pittsburgh,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
15,000.
15,000. It took me 40,000, unfortunately. But it was a free flight. I mean, I have no regrets. And I bought it at last minute too, so that made the price a little bit higher. But right now, usually the flights are between 25 or 15,000 one way. So if you consider two ways, it'll be around 30,000,
Yeah,
30 to 40,000.
something I've noticed is that it'll cost me maybe 12,000 miles with Southwest to fly somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if I use British Airways, which
Mm-hmm.
in retrospect, I find it's pretty crappy, but it would cost me like 70,000 points plus, you know, $80 on top
Okay.
versus just paying like the $10 in taxes. So it really depends on like where you're going and who you're using. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's and also I haven't flown first class yet, but I know that there's some people that actually like using their points flying first class. I've read a few articles from people that if they go to London or something, they just use it to fly and enjoy their trip. So
yeah.
instead of spending 50,000, they spend 75, but they go first class. So it's pretty nice.
What tips, kind of like wrapping it out? What tips do you have for someone for starting out?
So for starting out, I would recommend the Chase Sapphire card. That one is the quickest. It takes like 10 minutes to apply, if that. All you need is your name, some basic information, and you're good. So the first tip to get is actually get started, like take action. Because if you don't, then you just want to do it. You want to do it. Um, but the first tip will be that just go out and do it. Choose that one because it's pretty nice and it weighs some too, so it adds like you feel like, ooh, this is actually weight some something. What about you, Pascal? What do you think would be a good
Yeah,
tip?
yeah, it's interesting because I wouldn't actually recommend. People always ask like, what is the first card I should get, or
Uh huh.
um, and I'm more of a person where I say it depends on where you want to go,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
so for example, if you were only wanted to fly domestically, I
Uh
would
huh.
not recommend the Chase card. I would
Yeah,
rather recommend the
use
Southwest card.
Southwest. Yeah,
Um,
for sure. That's true. That was a good tip.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like the chase cards are the easiest to rack up a bunch of miles. So if
Uh
you're
huh.
trying to do an around the world trip as your first, or if you're just trying to go abroad, chase is normally the first one
Yeah.
I would choose.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, using the chase one is not bad. You're still gonna get a couple free
Yeah.
flights out of it.
Yeah, and what's interesting on my part was that first, so I have my account in Bank of America, and I told them I was like, hey, since I have a business like an account with you guys, can I get a credit card for travel points? And they denied me. So I was like, crap. If my own bank is denying me, maybe I won't be able to do this. Plus, I was 22. I just came out of college, so my credit scores may not be good since I didn't have a credit card while I was in college. But Chase accepted me, and they gave me 5,000. I thought they will only give me 1,000 or 500, but yeah, that's the only reason why I would recommend Chase first was because Bank of America denied me, and then Chase accepted me.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Um, What
Which
it
card did you use when you went to Hawaii? Because I know that you flew to Hawaii for like $10.
Yeah, so I actually had two different cards. So I started travel hacking and I got three different cards at once.
This
Um,
guy.
and there's some science behind that too, because when you apply for multiple ones within the same hours or the same
Mm-hmm.
day, it doesn't hit your credit score. So like basically, if you got five cards in one day, it would hit
Mm-hmm.
your credit score less than if you hit like five cards one on each day, because
Okay.
um, for some reason like the your credit, it only acknowledges one day's
Mm-hmm.
worth of credit. Each time a credit card company like has to check your credit before they can apply or
Mm-hmm.
accept you, and so if those all happen at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
the system basically thinks that you're uh, it's only one check, because
Mm-hmm.
for each check your credit gets temporarily, I guess, bumped down a couple points,
Uh-huh.
from like 775 to 770 or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got one. I flew. It cost me like 12,000 miles on U.S. Airways, and it cost
Okay.
me so one way, and then it cost me 25,000 miles with United on
Oh
the way
wow.
back. So
That is not much to go to Hawaii.
so yeah, it was like 37,000 miles, which I did with two credit cards,
Uh-huh.
and um, yeah, and then I still have like points left over, right?
Exactly. Cool.
But um, so yeah, and kind of like rounding out the last question, what do you think you wish you knew when you first started travel hacking?
I guess the one thing I wish I knew. Hmm. Oh man. For that one, the thing that I wish I knew, I guess, was that there are so many cards that, like you said, the one thing that I wish I knew was if I was gonna go. Um, I guess now that I think about it, will be if I knew that I was gonna go to an event or go somewhere that I have to spend money. I wish that I timed it correctly, because this one I got, as an example, the first card I got it to just like to get started, right? But the other cards I've been getting when I know, as an example, I got accepted to go to this event in Steamboat, Colorado, and it was worth like $1,700. So I was like, perfect. I have to pay that within in 2 weeks. So I got a card, and then within that week I got the card, and then I paid it off, and so I paid for the event, and I basically got um got the points almost straight away, right? So for like what I wish I knew more on how to use it, how to take advantage of it, I guess. In the beginning I just got it, but there are definitely other tips
So you're
and
basically
timing.
saying like if you knew you had a big purchase coming up, for example, like the conference you just went to, that you would
Uh-huh.
get a card and make sure that you would, you know, just pay it
Exactly.
off on that card.
Exactly. So like I wish that I knew in the beginning, because I had other events going on and I didn't think about that. Now I do. Now it's like, okay, I'm going this way in 6 months. I need to, if I get two cards, I can make it happen and get a free flight. Why not? You know? So the timing would have been a lot better.
Sweet. So, yeah, is there anything kind of you want to add or mention that you think people should know, or anything about the other kind of questions we talked about before we hop off?
Um, I mean, as far of the credit hitting your credit score, I haven't experienced much. But any more questions after that? I mean, I know that you, Pascal, you're traveling for like 3 months all over the world. So there's different strategies with different cards, right? Um, a question for you is like, did you apply to cards that you will travel outside of the U.S. in particular?
Yeah, so kind of what I did is I started. I like how this kind of turned into a interview with me now too.
A
Um,
little bit.
but
I have questions too.
um, yeah, for me it was basically I just got any and every card. So
Mm-hmm.
at this point, what it's July
Mm-hmm.
1st, 2014. I've had 9 cards total.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the reason I just wanted to collect points, and I didn't really care too much about what airline they were in because I knew I'd be able to spend them or get
Yeah.
other cards. Um, I did do a lot of chase cards, and so I racked up a lot of United miles. Uh, and my main card, I always recommend someone has one main credit card to like build their credit history, and because parts of your credit score uh, are about what your credit history is about, like how long you've held cards. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always good to hold one or two for your lifetime. And so, yeah, I had my American Express card that I was able to push miles out from, um, and but I mean, I have things from like British Airways, AirTran,
Mm-hmm.
Frontier, Southwest. Uh, Something that I noticed, or I wish I knew when I first started travel hacking, which I got wrong, was I thought if I had, in I don't remember if it's true, but let's say United and Delta are within the same alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought that you could transfer miles between them, between the airlines, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't. So
Okay.
don't make that mistake.
Okay. Good to know.
The reason why the alliance is important is because you like let's say you book a flight with Delta and they
Mm-hmm.
don't have any seats available on any Delta flights, they can check for open seats within the alliance. That's why the alliance is important. But anyway,
Okay.
that's so I had like the, just mass strategy, apply for as many credit cards,
Yeah.
and collect as many points as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And on one of these interview series, I'm going to have Andrew Hyde, and he's flipped around 20 credit cards.
Oh
He has
wow.
no problem with his credit score. And yeah, I'll bring him on to talk about this kind of stuff too. But
That's awesome.
yeah, pretty sweet.
20 cards.
Cool. Hell yeah. Thank you, Diego.
You're welcome. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, this is kind of just the beginning of more to come. Every week we'll be interviewing a fellow traveler who earned their trips by spending air miles collected through credit cards or other easy methods. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast or video series, and also to get the idiot proof step by step guide on how to travel the world for free. Sign up on our website at www.ieatairmilesforbreakfast.com. So until next week, thank you guys.
Bye.